This meeting is being recorded. All right, you guys, again, we are back with part two. And we added a little extra honey and lemon to this tea flavor. We talked to you guys. Well, first of all, I don't want to be rude. This is Lady Rachel of Singles with a Testimony. And I am on here, as always, Dawn, with my sister. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sister.
How you all doing? This Mother Dan, all the way from Chi-Town.
Okay, all righty. And we were talking on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. You know, last Saturday, you guys, we talked about femininity and sexuality by God's design. Well, so since we kind of got a little bit of a few nuggets about that, we wanted to take it further. For those who may be desiring to be married and they are a woman and they're learning about their sexuality. So, okay, I want to be married. So now you have to learn, for many of us who are desiring marriage. How to allow the man to pursue you, because we know we're in an age and a stage and a place where, hey, you know, women, they see something, they go after it just like the men go after it. But we know that still by God's design, it's a time, a place, and a space even in that. So we have our panelists. We have, again, Pastor Bridget. We have, and we know she don't like me to say that, but I'm sorry, I'm just hearing what the Father say. Minister LaSandra Collins. And then
Yeah.
we have that elder, that bishop, the BPG, big pretty girl, y'all, like she said, don't get it tangled and twisted, on here with us today. That little extra honey and lemon to this tea. So, sister, Mother Den, you can go ahead and open it, start it off, and talk to and ask whoever, whichever one of the panelists. We're talking about learning how to allow a man. Y'all hear that, ladies? Learning how to allow a man to pursue you when it's just been you for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years doing that thing. And the man is coming in and letting him be the man, and you give him his hat and his pants and let him do what he does. Okay, so go ahead, sister. You can start it off.
So I want to start off with Minister LaSandra. And the reason I want to start off with Minister LaSandra is because if you guys have not read her book, I suggest you get a copy of her book, Removing the Mask. Because let me tell you something. I read a chapter, and I just recently read this chapter, where you were talking about before you received your husband, your son did a prayer. He wanted a father, and you were doing this thing where you were trying to heal, but you made a statement of when you're trying to heal, you can't forget God, and you tried that before. So I want you to explain to everyone and all the ladies, especially the ladies and anyone who has been broken, what you mean by that insert in your book.
Okay, so the book, uniquely you pulling off the mask. I talk about a lot of things, but yes. So as you start the healing process, you know, sometimes we try to heal ourselves in ways where we leave God out. We're not really healing, so to speak. We are pacifying or trying to what's the word I'm looking for? Subdue, right? Because you know, sometimes we think those substances that we take and drink is gonna help us heal. It's gonna help me get over this. And what we find out is we survived the thing, but we really didn't heal from it, because true healing comes from the Lord. True, you know, healing and deliverance sometimes go hand in hand. And for me, I had been hurt by so many men and allowed them to hurt me because, again, I was battling with promiscuity and I was giving myself to these men, and they were further damaging me, right? And I allowed that. So when I say healing, I mean that you are getting into that word and allowing the word to cleanse you, cut out that infection so that you can begin to, one, from the book perspective, embrace who you are in Christ, that woman that you are in Christ, but also begin to see what your purpose is based on what I went through. And if you look at my life over the last maybe 10 to 15 years, my life, everything that I went through was to prepare me for ministering to mindset. But I couldn't do any of that if I haven't healed. I would be a hypocrite if I was up here talking to anyone about healing, knowing that I was still damaged. And so, you know, I don't fake the funk. I can't fake the funk. I don't sugarcoat anything. And so I'm not a hypocrite. Let me say that. I'm not a hypocrite, because if I was not healed, I wouldn't be sitting here today speaking with you all about the topic that we're about to get into. Because I'm not going to lead anybody's astray. I'm not going to lie and say that I'm healed when I know I'm not. There is a scripture in the Bible that says, "Woe unto him who calls his sheep to scatter." I will not be responsible for that.
Come on now.
She say
Come
for
on.
that.
Yes.
No. I don't
That's
play,
real.
I play with a lot of stuff, but Jesus is not one of them. I don't play with Jesus.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, I
Come on
don't.
now.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. All righty. So
Mhm.
we said we added a new bit of flavor to this tea. BPG. Introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, and then add a little bit of lemon to that. What is your intake on learning how to allow a man to pursue you? My good sister. Are you there? Okay, there you go. All right. We waiting on you, baby girl.
You're on mute.
Yeah. Okay. All righty. So while we wait for the BPG to tap in with us, we're going to pass it on to Pastor Bridget, and then we're going to get back, because we got to get back to BPG. So Pastor Bridget.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I am 100% in agreement with LaSandra, because sometimes when we're, like I say, we've been hurt, and it doesn't matter. It could be multiple people. It could be one person. It could be two. It doesn't matter about the number. It's really about a lot of times we don't give ourselves, like say, that time and that space. So interesting, because I was just talking to someone about that. And it's like sometimes you can be in a relationship with someone, but it's like, say, you decide that, okay, this is not good. We need to go our separate ways. But then there's still all this interaction. And as women, we have to be careful about that, because sometimes men, they really are just trying to block. They really just they don't really want anything. They don't want to go any further, but they want to hang around.
Yep.
And some men, they're hanging around for that weak time, or they find you, they're not going to go any further than where, you are. And so we have to learn how to free from that and be like, I need my space to heal, and be okay with saying that, not making it about them at all, because they doing what they do. It's like, what, I need for you to move around. It's like, give me some space. Don't contact me, or things like that. And these days, I say, I love these iPhones, but you just block folks. And we really need to take that time just to be by ourselves with no distractions, to clearly hear what God has to say, and being able to, and I love that about LaSandra. She's able to say, hey, this is what I allowed to happen to me, because we can't heal if we're steady talking about what somebody did to us. Now, what they did, they could be wrong, the way they treated us, but at the same time, people only do what we allow them to do.
Absolutely.
We have to, get to where we're okay with, being unmarried doesn't mean that what is that, like, you're becoming an old maid or that, we really, before we latch up with someone else, we really have to know ourselves.
Absolutely.
And without taking that time, we start looking for affirmation from someone else, and especially from men, and then we don't get it, and we turn it inward, like, oh, then all these little insecurities. Well, you didn't take time to get that stability within your own self, and especially if you're a Christian, with the Lord, to be confident in who you are and how He designed us. And so then we're not looking for someone else to tell us who we are.
Okay.
And it's not an arrogance. Sometimes I think people get a little twisted with this. I'm loving you, and I don't care about me. Well, sometimes that's hurt. That's talking. I'm not talking about that. We're talking about that healthy, just being okay with who you are, really being okay with that. And so you don't have all that other going on. And so we're getting into, people, men pursuing us. And we touched on this last Saturday on, men pick up on things. They pick up on insecurities and things like that. They also pick up on, hey, this woman, she's secure who she is. I'm not even gonna play with her. And we need to play with that too, because there are boys out there in men clothing, you know, looking the part, but they're boys. And so many times, you know, we mistake that thinking, you know, selling for a boy and not a man. I guess I'll just put it like that, because they look the part. That's, you know, but then when you know, we're just looking for the wrong things, which, you know, I come back to, we really shouldn't be looking, to be quite honest. We're taking care of our business and what we need to do to be successful in all these things. And again, not to say, not comparing ourselves to men, not comparing ourselves really to anyone, but trying to prove something to someone, prove our work. We don't need to prove our work. You know, we just need to be who we are and be okay with that. And the right person will come along because they're going to recognize that. You know, we're not looking for, because I'll tell you, for even from the other side, from our perspective, if somebody need me to be constantly affirming them, they need to move around because they're going to be hurt. I just, that's, and it's like, you know, we compliment people, you know, you want to do that, but, you know, but there are some that on way on the other end of the spectrum, they need this feed, this constant thing. And I'm like, oh my God, you know what? So, and it's exhausting. Yeah. I mean, I don't do it, but I've talked to other people and I'm like, oh my God, see, I can't even be doing all that right there. That's looking for, you know, too much out of a person. And then the other, and I'm not trying to be somebody's everything. No, I don't need to be, I can't be your everything. Think about what that means. I cannot be your everything. You know, that's God's place. That's God's job.
Absolutely.
You know, we can compliment each other. You looking for too much. I can't do that. I'm not signing up for that. You know, it might be cute at first. You know, oh girl, he want to know where I'm at and da da da. It's all cute in the beginning. But then after a while, you may just want to go out with the friend. It could be a person at church. They don't care when people are insecure. It don't matter who it is. They just know why I can't go. You know what?
She say, you know what? Oh gosh.
It could just get, you know, just stuff gets all out of whack and out of balance. And you need to have balance. And you can you know, you need to have a love and respect for, you know, the person. And so when we you know, just like say count on just our physical, like our physique, you know, what happens when that physique starts to change? Yeah. True. You know, what happens then? Or what happens if, you know, something made crazy go along where you can't swing from the chandeliers no more. You know, no. Now what?
Swinging from the chandeliers. Oh my word.
There has to
That's
be
the Bridget
more.
now.
I'm just trying to keep it real because, you know, I'll tell you, this wisdom, my grandmother, she told me years back, she said, whatever it took for you to get him, you're going to have to do to keep him.
Yep.
Well, so
my mama told me that too.
We're doing all kind of tricks and all that stuff. Men are they're men of they're creatures of habit. You know, they get in, they want things to, they get into routine. They want things to be the same. They don't want to change. So you change up, and then they start tripping.
Yep.
I told you that today.
Where, you know, I'm gonna be all listening and do whatever you want me to do, and now you're tired.
Well, now see. Come on, BPG up in here.
Yeah. Yeah, please chime in before I say something.
I'm sitting here listening to what she's saying. What was the original question?
Okay, what we are talking about, again, you guys, is learning how to allow the man to pursue you. You know, it's okay to be a little, but sometimes we know in today's world, you know, this independent woman, you know, the men, I want you to kind of initiate, start, keep up, you know, and we are women of God. Don't mean you may not let the man know you're interested, but, you know, we have to move a bit differently. So, of course, introduce yourself, tell us who you are, and then kind of give us your take on learning how to allow a man to pursue you, a woman of God.
Like you stated, BPG, you made sure they understood not to get it tangled and twisted. That does stand for the big pretty girl. And I'm really active in the community. I am really a very independent big pretty girl, should I say that? And I'm so glad you're talking about this topic because I've never, ever, ever been married, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've been engaged, I pawned a couple of rings, all that good stuff that they gave me when it didn't work out, but I've never said I do. And what I get and it's not that I don't want to be, but when you are an independent woman and you're accustomed to doing things for yourself, being a mother, being a provider, being all of this good stuff, it's hard to let go of that reign.
Come on.
To let somebody else do it, whom you may not feel that confident that will do it. And I used to feel that, oh, baby, can't nobody tell me nothing. When they in the Bible, okay, on one of them pages, it says something about the wife. The wife is submissive, to the husband. And I used to say, oh, no, ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do. And I gotta ask him, in order to get this my money, or this my car. I gotta notify him because I have not being in a relationship. I have become accustomed to moving how I just want to move.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so thankful to have God best friends because they have conversations with me and we have real talk. And it's clearly understood that, listen, you haven't been dealing with men. You've been with boys. And when you deal with a boy, of course you can't let that range go. But once you come in contact with a real man who knows his position, it's gonna be easier for you to do, to let that go. Now, yet to see it, I am open to seeing what that feels like. In the meantime, in the between time, the Lord has placed me with husband and wife teams like my sister that's here on the phone, the professor herself, the unique you queen, where her and her husband, I'm with them. I see how it works. And that, might I add, is what gives me hope that there is somebody that can handle this heavyweight equipment and handle me. I'm just saying, handle me gently, but take control, because it's a way to do everything.
It
is. And you can't just talk to me out the side of your neck and expect for me to do it. You know what I'm saying? Make my nails come out, but going back to what this young lady said, if it's a man of God who follows him, that has a relationship with him, those questions will be asked to him. Now, growing up in the 20s and 30s, I've dealt with men that said, well, how do you want me to act? Well, how do you want me to do? Well, if I got to tell you how to act,
I don't want you.
You know what I'm saying? I might as well build a bear.
Come on.
I don't want to build a bear. That's not what I'm trying. I'm trying to build a man. Now, encouraging a man and loving a man and, all this other good stuff, that's something different. But if you asking me how you should treat me, you just going to be doing it because I told you to do it. Not coming from a loving place. How can I see myself with you? How can I see myself following your lead? Because right now I'm leading myself with the help of the Lord, the good Lord at that. Okay. So what do I look like letting a range go to let you lead me and my children? Because I got grown children, only one that's still a teenager. I'm not gonna feel comfortable with that. But in my prayers lately, especially since the Lord has sent LaSandra and my brother King Collins, it has given me the hope, that I need, because they are from where I'm from. You understand what I'm saying? And so it's not something made on TV. A lot of times we get caught up in this reality stuff and, oh, I want to be that, or I want to do this. And real life is not really happening. Cameras are not always on, it's going to be the good, the bad, and the ugly, but for myself, the one that I can admit to saying, I said, oh no, can't no dude tell me Nathan. You understand me? Because I'm not listening. Submissive. When he tell me to do, he tell me to. Who ain't nobody telling me if he ain't my daddy? He's not telling me to do nothing. But I have grown and matured into knowing that having somebody from the corner, okay, I want to say it nicely, right? having somebody, a ninja from the corner versus having a man of God. It's two different things.
Yeah.
And you have to mentally be willing to let go of all who didn't, who coulda, woulda, shoulda, when they did, and all this other good stuff, because you can't bring that baggage. The man that the Lord has for you. My sister, she tells, LaSandra tells people all the time, she helps folks unpack their baggage. It's not just women that need that done. It's men too. What I don't want to do is be thirsty and just grab the that looks good, smells good, fit the bill, makes good money, because he can make all the money in the world and pay all of my bills and still not treat me right, not honor me, not respect me, you know what I'm saying, not protect me, so on and so forth.
Absolutely.
Not pray with me, not pray over me when I'm sleeping. Those are the things now that I'm looking at versus me looking, do he smell good? What kind of car he drives? Do he got a car? How do he call me baby? What nickname? Is he extra affectionate in the public? Like, I'm not looking so much to that. All of that's just extra. Is he the man that's gonna be ready to pray with me? Call me just because, can he see spiritually what I don't see? To give me what I need. And for that, for that part, I'm willing to let my guards down, because when you are a single woman and life has happened, and then life hurt has happened, you have your guardrails up.
Yeah.
Because you want to protect yourself, and a lot of women are not willing to take them guardrails down, or they may not know. And so you hear a lot of times, oh, you want to be the man and the woman. No, I want you to be the man so that I can be the woman. Okay, I'm done. I'm just saying.
I simply agree with everything that has been said. I'm like BPG. I have been engaged several times, not married, and I haven't crossed that threshold. And it is very, very, very hard. The dating scene right now it's hard. You have a lot of people who are unsure of themselves. You have a lot of broken people as well, trying to connect, which is not why now you see a lot of people get together and then they get married and all of a sudden it's just over with. I do believe we do need to take the time to heal. And
most definitely.
When we don't do that, you can get into relationships where you're causing something that could be a blessing for you. It could move into marriage, but because you're so hurt, you're attacking this individual who has nothing to do with your pain.
Right. That's right.
And not understanding, now you're damaging a whole nother person.
Absolutely.
Now you're ruining the blessing that God sent to you because you didn't allow him to heal you. You didn't allow him to work on that thing. And I think a lot of people are desperate because there's this time frame. And I don't know where this clock comes from, but there's a clock. There's this clock now that I have to have this by the age. I have to do all of this stuff. I have to have the career. I have to have the money. I have to have the house. And I have to be engaged or at least getting married before at least 35. And I'm trying to figure out, where did this clock come from?
Right.
Who created this clock? Because in the Bible, it doesn't say anything about age or when you're ready to be married. And everyone have a clock right now. Everybody is working by this invisible clock that magically appeared. Because now you have people in their 20s and they're getting married very young, but then the marriage doesn't work. Now they had all these kids in between the chaos and chaotic, and now we're back in the same cycle again. Or you have people who are getting married and they're working from trauma. So I saw my mom go through this, or I saw my mom have this type of relationship, and I don't want that relationship. So I'm gonna do this, but not understanding that now they formed their marriage out of the trauma that they've seen, and they're going back into it and not knowing that.
Yeah, it's that is really true, because it's like we're we're all creatures of habit, and And like, with abusive relationships, people fall into that because it's like by default, we go to what we're accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, sure, I love my peace, and I don't chaos, but that's just, when you don't grow up in that kind of, of course, my parents weren't perfect or anything like that, but, there's just this, like, some people are like constant drama, constant chaos, and all this. And if there's also, all this abuse going on, people want to come out of it, but at the same time, they're accustomed to dealing with that type of environment. They're accustomed to that. So here comes, Mr. Peaceful Man, and he, because there's no drama. There's no, and some people, it's crazy, but some people, they don't know how to cope with peace.
How to function. Yeah.
They just don't know. They haven't had it. So, but it's one of those, it was something that you were saying, Elizabeth, about, it was something you were saying, but I'm losing my train of thought, but I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. About, like broken and all these things. Now, on one hand, it's like, there's not a perfect person, we're not perfect.
Right.
But it's like, it's that willingness, because, of course, women tend to be more open and more willing to share their heart and talk about things, where some men are more reserved and don't really want to talk about the things that hurt. But see, that's an issue in the beginning, if this person is unwilling to talk about it, because then we start trying to fill in the blanks.
Yep.
That we can, and so, it still goes back to communication. We need people, are willing to talk about their hurts and things like that. And there is well, it's just a friend of mine, I guess, but I noticed that, and I might have mentioned him, he's unmarried and things like that, but he's like very surface. Now, of course I can tell him like, oh, he got issues, but this is not a person who's willing to face those issues and even talk about them. So I'm like, see, you need to stay unmarried. You just need yeah, I did tell him, I said, you leave God's daughters alone, because you just playing with him alone, because he's not even willing to, they're just physical. It's just physical, and women, like I said, we're talking about having men pursue you. There are some men who pursue you for just the physical aspect. So we have to, pay attention to what vibe we're giving off, because it's like, if we want someone to get to know us, then again, we were talking before about being so revealing and showing that. And you guys know what's really crazy these days, and I'm just going to say it. You have parents that are posting pictures of their young adults half dressed.
Yes.
Children. Like, you might as well go put them on the corner. What are you doing?
Oh yeah, I've seen some toddlers. That they have their toddlers. Yeah.
Revealing and just showing. I mean, and it's like, if mama's not going to say anything, who's going to say something? And because you're going to, what they say, you put out that kind of honey, those are flies you're going to attract. And then it's like, oh, well, now I'm being treated like this and this and this, but you put that kind of honey out there, that kind of vibe out there to pull in those men who are just, they're initially, the physical. Change. But initially you're putting it out there, like they said, like you giving it up, like this is what you're looking for. And like you were saying before, Ms. Harris, about the, desperation, or I'll come look at me, see me, and all these things. And some of it's a maturity thing, it's an insecurity thing, because we are beautiful. We don't have to show everything. We don't have to do that, but it's not knowing how beautiful we are without all that. Someone, they see your face. They don't have to see underneath. They don't see all that.
Now, I would say this, in speaking and somewhat piggybacking on BPG about, she said, letting go the reins. We had spoken with one of our younger brothers, the Love Doctor, and he just basically, frankly, put it out there and said, okay, well, you want the woman to follow you. He say, but I'm just going to say it. He says, some men, you are not worthy or worth following. Basically, are you in a place to where they can follow you, because you want them to submit to you? And as again, I do believe BPG mentioned it. Who are you submitting to? Because women are built to be, ladies, listen, and men, listen. Women are built to be receivers. God told us our role pretty much if we look at how our body is made up. If we just sit there and look at how we are made, he lets us know pretty much some of what are you the giver or are you the taker? Are you the receiver or whatnot? And so we know that we house, we hold, we carry all of that. So, and like she mentioned, yes, it can be a challenge in loosen the reins when you have been doing things for yourself, or if you have not seen what that looks like to allow a man to even properly pursue you. As you stated, some men want to pursue you, but they're only pursuing you for the honey. They're not really and maybe your money too, just keeping it real. And they're not really pursuing you for you. But there again, okay, I'm going to take it to the women in the house of prayer. We have to not be what Minister LaSandra said. Don't be a hypocrite. Okay. Be real with yourself that you are healed. Be real with yourself how you're saying one thing outside your mouth, but then you're doing other things somewhere else. And so that's giving people mixed signals. So we want to kind of bring it on back and in. How do we, ladies, how do we allow a man to pursue us? If and that's for those who want to be pursued, because see, it's some ladies now, they're really comfortable where they are. They can take it or leave it. I mean, I'm gonna put it out there. It's some women who say,
most times those are the most attractive.
yeah, and they're like, I don't. There you go, right there. That's it. And like you said, they can pick it up. And like Minister LaSandra said on our last show, she was just sitting there minding her business,
minding her own business,
in a nice clothes suit, whatnot, all that. And he came over there. But we think we have to act out. We think we have to be loud. We think we have to walk by and sashay a little extra, so he can come and follow us. Yeah, he may follow you right to the bed, get up, leave, and that's it. So do you want him to pursue you for the night, or do you want him to pursue you for a lifetime? So that's what you have to kind of.
Let me give you all a little perspective. I've listened to a lot of what you all said, but I'm gonna bring some things into perspective, and then I'll address certain things, as we go along. So society, a lot of people watch reality TV. They see this glamour and they see these women proposing to men. And we have just really strayed away from the guiding principles that are outlined in the good book. I'm going to start this off by saying, quoting this scripture, Proverbs 18, verse 22. He who finds a wife finds and finds favor with the Lord.
With the Lord.
So how many on this call know that you favored? You favored.
Right now. Right.
Okay. So if we go to the book of Ruth.
There you go.
Let's just go to the book of Ruth. And I got scriptures here.
That's my favorite right there.
Ruth. And there are a lot of principles that we can learn from Ruth if we just read. Reading is fundamental, but you got to read with spiritual understanding.
Absolutely.
So verse 2 says, one day Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, let me go out into the harvest fields to pick the stalks of grain left behind by anyone who was kind enough to let me do it. Naomi replied, all right, my daughter, go ahead. Now, here are some guiding principles and some points that I want to point out. I see a lot of posts on Facebook. I'm looking for Boaz.
Sorry.
And I don't mean no harm. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but the truth has a tendency to offend. And I'm sure this question will offend some people. But what are you giving Boaz to look at?
Come on.
I think I'm going to turn my off.
When Boaz saw Ruth, she was working. When Boaz saw Ruth, she was working. She said, I'm going to go to the field.
That's right.
That's number one.
That's right.
Boaz saw Ruth first before Ruth even saw Boaz.
Come on now.
Boaz went to Ruth. If you go down to verses 8 and 9 in chapter 2, Boaz went to Ruth and said, listen, my daughter, stay right here with us when you gather grain. Don't go to any other field. Stay right behind the young women working in my field. See which part of the field they are harvesting and follow them. I have warned the young men not to treat you roughly. And when you are thirsty, help yourself to the water they have drawn from the well. Now Boaz went to Ruth, asked her to do something. He was protecting her.
Absolutely.
He was protecting her from danger by telling her not to go into another field, stay in my field. Because I don't want the men to harm you. I don't want any harm to come to you. So he was covering her. He was protecting her.
Yes.
There you go, BPG, cover, protect.
And Ruth was submissive in honoring his request. So I want to read Ephesians for those husbands and wives. I want to read Ephesians chapter 5, verse 22. Wives, submit to your husband as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, as Christ is the head of the church, his body, of which he is the Savior. Now the church submits to Christ. So also wives should submit to their husbands in everything that they do. The wife submits to the husband submits to Christ.
Bam, in that order.
Like
In
that.
that order.
And if you are looking at someone who is calling themselves pursuing you, and they not submitting to Christ or have a relationship with Christ,
that's
you
right.
already know that one, you unequally yoked, and two, it's not gonna work.
See,
Because both of y'all can't run it. There's got to be a head, and there's got to be someone that's gonna follow the lead.
But you know, you brought up something really, really, and I don't want them to the people listeners, I don't want them to miss what you brought out with Ruth and Boaz. And Minister Rachel, Lady Rachel said it too, the protection part. Man of God, see, he's not gonna want to put you out there like that. When pursuing you, you know, some men, if they trying to let other folks know that you're another notch in their belt, that's not a godly man. He is not, he's not trying to protect, you know, and this man was providing, covering her, and all he did was see her gleaming.
And the reason why, hold on, because I got more. Let me break this down to you all. Because the reason why he was protecting her and doing all these things, after he told her, you know, to see which part you want to harvest in, she fell to her feet and thanked him warmly. What have I done to deserve such kindness? She asked. I am only a foreigner. Verse 11. I'm still in chapter 2, verse 11. Yes, I know, replied Boaz, but I also know everything you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband. I heard everything. I have heard how you left your father and your mother in your own land to live here among complete strangers. Ruth showed kindness and loyalty to Naomi.
Yes.
And the word got out about the acts of kindness.
Bam.
A woman of character.
Yes.
Right.
So I'll ask again. What are you using to attract Boaz?
That's right.
Because Boaz is not looking to see. Oh, I ain't gonna say that. Anyway.
Nah, girl, you forgot where you at now.
He is not
He's not
looking
trying
for
to see
you
how
to.
you shaking it fast, okay?
No, he's not. And he's not looking at you wearing anything skimpy. And we're going to get to that one in a minute. Boaz sent Ruth to eat with him at mealtime. Now, I'm certain during mealtime, it doesn't say it in here, but I'm certain there were some conversations going on. So, which means she knew how to carry the conversation.
How about that?
Oh, y'all catch it? Let me put a pin in it, please, Professor. Ladies and men, are we taking notes? I know we laughing and we joking, but this is real life, real talk. Absolutely. It's real. because she's saying conversation. So we want to be pursued. Do you even know how to have a conversation? And this is no shade. This is no shade towards anyone, because we all have to learn. But it's, if you want something, what are you putting out there? How are you presenting it? And then once it comes to you, are you going to be ready? Can you handle it? Can you conversate? Because many of us, we want these husbands, or we want to be pursued by this man, that man. Though then when it comes, then you think that, again, in femininity and sexuality, you think, oh, well, the first thing I need to do is give him some, as my dear sister says, Kuna candy. That man, I mean, hello. That may not be, he's a man, yes. However, though, why do you think that that's what it is? She said conversation. Conversation.
Well, and can I say something about the men's side? Because before you consider the professor, let me before you go to your next point. But with the conversation, even with men, and anyway, you let people talk long enough, you find out And so some men, you could be talking about just having really good conversation. Those men who are not about the real, they're not really pursuing you with the best motives,
godly intentions.
They're gonna, it's going to become sexual. They're going, something out of their mouth will, because they're trying to see if they can get you down on that level to begin a sexual conversation. And we need to catch that. Because that's very telling. So look good and all this, and so many people, they love to say, I love God, because we need to really wait and find out which God it is that they love, because they could be looking at themselves. And so, but like I say, in the conversation, and that's so key in those conversations, to listen. Listen to what they have to say.
That's why the courtship is important.
Yes, ma'am.
The dating. Because dating is gathering data. You should be observing and gathering data. Is this somebody? And just like you gathering data on him, he is gathering data on you. Because let's just face it.
Hello.
There are going to be times where that man is vulnerable. Because the world beats him up just like the world beats us up. How are you going to handle that? If this man come and tell you he lost his job, how are you going to act? What is going to be your reaction, number one? Or are you going to ridicule him, telling him, you know what, we got all these bills, you got to do this, this, and that? Or you going to be the one to say, you know what, babe, I got your back. Help me until you get this thing back on track. Which road are you going to take? Because if you just in it because of what the man got, driving, look like, smell like, where he lives.
And work like, if you get me.
Yeah. As soon as he loses, you're going to be looking for the next one.
Right. That's right.
And so men, first of all, Boaz was providing for Ruth by even saying, come and eat with me.
Now.
And I'm sure he didn't ask her to pay the bill.
No.
Oh, come on, BPG.
And this is where we're getting ready to shift for a minute. Here is the thing.
Come on.
Some of y'all asking, how do I allow the man to pursue you?
You better
but some of y'all got some men that's doing exactly what Boaz is doing, and you rejecting them. The one that you want to pursue you don't exhibit any of these qualities, but because he looks like, he smells like, he works at, he drives this, he's connected to him or her.
Shut up.
You are overlooking your kinsman redeemer.
Come on.
Wow.
So I mean, the question is, yes, how do I allow a man to pursue me? But how do I allow the right man to pursue me? And do I have the spirit of discernment to see that he's pursuing me? Because he don't look like it. I'm giving you, I love telling stories.
Oh, not you too.
My husband, as I said, first of all, I sworn off me when I met my husband. And yes, my son was in the restroom. My oldest son, he is 36 now. He was about 8 or 9. He was 8 or 9 when he prayed that prayer. And so my sister, because my sister and I shared apartments together back then, she said that, you know what, God is going to honor his prayer because he hears the prayers of children. Now, I wasn't looking for no husband. Mm-hmm. And quite honestly, when I saw Kelvin and when I met Kelvin, Kelvin was not my type. Because I like the bald head with the ears pierced. I like the bad boy. And those of you who have seen my husband, he don't fit that mold. You know, so the way Kelvin, I'm telling you, God has a sense of humor. Because Kelvin would ask, could he come and see me? And I'm like, no. He would say, you know, what can I? And so I finally gave in and said, okay, you come over. But Kelvin would always go play video games with my son. So I was going to talk to my son and play video games. So Kelvin got through me.
Yes, that's it.
To me through my son.
Yes,
he would spend he would the first half of the time he would spend with my son talking to him. The second half he would spend with me. We would just talk or what have you. Finally decided to go on a date with him. Our first date was waiting to exhale, and we went to Papacitos. Our second date and every other date was Sundays for church. Kelvin came to pick me and my son up, and we went to church every Sunday. And after that, I cooked Kelvin a home cooked meal. And we would have conversation. We would talk about just talk. We would talk about things. To remember, Kelvin and I got married 5 months and 2 days after we met. So we would talk about marriage. How do you see my role? You see my role in the marriage. He would ask me that. I would tell him, this is how I see your role. And he would tell me, well, this is how I see your role. And so we would discuss things like that, gathering data. Now, mind you, Kelvin had children of his own also. So I met his kids and our kids seemed to get along and all of those things. But I was able to hold a conversation. I was dressed. And the question that I asked you is, what are you showing the Boaz where he would want to pursue you? Wow. The same.
That's true.
What qualities and characteristics are you showing this man? Because if you're showing him how you can shake it fast, everybody on this call can shake it fast.
I'm trying to.
And we have to remember that, men have discernment too.
Yes, they do.
Exactly.
May not use it, but they have it.
They may not. Well, sometimes they do use it, but
I was just going to say that. Yes, they do.
For the greater good. Because
it's okay. Right.
That I shared last week, where the guy said,
"Yeah, true." Yeah. And
so,
our brother,
you got to be careful. I'm gonna tell you another story. True story. I had a friend who she was a groupie. Whatever sports was in season, that's who she was going after. So she lived in this apartment complex where a second string or third string Oiler player. He played for the Oilers. I'll say he was on the roster. And she wanted him to fix her up with the not Oiler Texans, I'm sorry, with a Texan, Houston Texans football. And so she was pursuing the man. She wanted a man that played ball, that was going to create this life for her. Long story short, her name started circulating in the shower room.
Of course.
Hey man, what's up with you and such and such and such? Oh, I'm through with her. You can have her.
Oh, yeah.
So she went through. Oh yeah, she had went a lot of the players. They were just passing her along like a piece of property.
My Lord. My Lord.
So men will pursue you, but you need to know what his intentions are.
Come on now.
Is his intentions to play with you and just sleep with you, or is his intentions to marry you and wife you? so
Come
you
on.
all can build together.
But you know,
Because
you were
if his intentions are just, go ahead.
no, you're speaking of you know, the courtship between you, you know, your husband. But see, it's all different. When someone is you know, pursuing you, if their intentions are to marry, there's a totally different pursuit. It's just different. You know, they start asking you questions. I remember my former husband, I remember him asking me about my credit. You know, I asked him some questions too, but I still remember we was having this conversation and he's like, you know, so how's your credit? Like, you know, he wants to know what kind of debt I had. Now, of course, I wasn't thinking on, you know, but when I look back on it, it was like, oh, he was trying to figure out, you know, my spending habits at the income to find out because he don't like debt. He didn't, you know, so he was checking out my spending. And of course, at the time, I just had what, you know, my necessary, a car, you know, rent, things like that. But, you know, like I say, the conversation is different. The pursuit is different. And you had said something too about your son. And that's the other thing too, women with children. If he want to be with you, sis, that's the way you get to, you just said it, through love my child. That you don't know how to love my child. Because I mean, if he can't do that, or he's not even showing any interest in your children, that's a strong message too. And so back to old school, a lot of people don't talk about this, but you know, and I give credit what credit is due. Terry and I, you know, we're no longer married, but what I will say in the pursuit, this man started just buying me groceries because he was taking care of his mom. Good, you know, check mark, there you go.
Right.
But then he just started calling me, saying, hey, you know, I shop for my mom, you know, every week, you know, and, you know, just make a list. Just like that. I started giving him a list. He'd come, you know how Sam do, you have a little box, he come drop off the box and then he going back 10, 15 months. So, you know, it wasn't, I'm bringing you this. Okay, so now what, you know, now I want my pay. You know, they gonna start hanging around because they want you, okay, they feel like they paid for it. So it's just things like that, you know, and we're not crazy. It's just like, it goes to where is our heart? Where is your motive, woman, woman? Where is your motive? You know, because it has to be pure, because you won't even know how to receive a man like that. Because men like that will protect you in the sense of, I mean, this man wouldn't even come inside. You know, we went to the movies and we would talk a little bit in the parking lot, and then you know, and of course in my mind, you know, because we so used to the other, but wow, you know, thinking like it shouldn't have been a shock or anything like that, but then it is, because so many men are just after, you know, but it's like, wow, that's cool, you know. But it's like but we pay attention to those things, and that's what one, because like you were saying, Minister LaSandra, that not my type at all. She said that. Yeah. She all quiet and all that kind of stuff. But what's the and I know we were running out of time, but she used to be on 102. Her name's gonna come to me. Ayala Van Zandt. This was years ago. And I remember it just stayed with me. She was having a, you know, she had a talk on 102, and she was talking to the ladies, and I'll never forget. And she said, ladies, she said, you know, she's talking about men that you're attracted to. She said, I'm gonna give you this scenario. You walk into a bar, there's two men at the bar. One, you know, that's your type, that's what you're attracted to. She said, don't talk to him, talk to the other guy. Because we will date the same type of people getting the same result.
Right. Because the bald head with the earring was bringing tears to my eyes.
She said,
I'm looking for, you know how you be looking for him with a flashlight in the daylight.
She said the bald head with the earrings was bringing tears to my eyes.
Yes,
that's funny.
So
but
I want to, you know, my husband told me to be sure I emphasize this. Turn with me, if you will, to Ruth chapter 3, verse 3. I'm gonna pick up where Naomi is telling Ruth to do everything she says. So it says, now do as I tell you. Take a bath and put on perfume and dress in your nicest clothes. Then go to the threshing floor until he has. His husband told me to tell you, start with putting some clothes on.
A to the man. Yep, it's right there, right down the way.
Cover it up.
A to the man.
Put thy raiment upon thee.
I'm just being honest, that because you can wear all this skimpy stuff, and I do dress for my husband sometimes. So you may see me in something a little provocative, but do know when you see me with that, Kelvin, I'm on Kelvin's arms. Because at that point, I'm dressing for Kelvin. At that point, I'm dressing for Kelvin. I'm not dressing to be seen by other men, So put some clothes on. You ain't got to show your cookie and all of this. This stuff that I see is just really sad. It
And
really
you still got me on 3. I'm sorry, I'm looking at this and I'm like, you can't miss it.
You cannot miss it. Turn with me if you will. So let me share something with you all. Boaz was attracted to Ruth because of her qualities and her characteristics. What she exhibited were things he was looking for in a wife. So that's the one part. Show yourself as someone that is exhibiting those qualities. But before you can even do that, you got to know what you want in a man. Because some of y'all want a man, but you don't know what you want. And then some of y'all want to be married and you are not wife material. Let's just go and be honest. You're not.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Come on.
That's right.
And stop jumping into stuff that you're not ready for. Because let me tell you something, the wedding is beautiful. Oh, it's so beautiful, this beautiful gown. And
oh my God.
You know what?
Yes, all
take
that
all
money.
the decorations down and y'all walk through that threshold, y'all gonna have to deal with each other. Cause
that's
you
it.
gonna find out,
Come on, that part.
You gonna find out this man got some ways that you don't like. You're gonna find out this man wants you to do some things that he's expecting you to do as a wife that you don't want to do. And that's when the fight's gonna start.
Yep.
Them disagreements, because I'm not gonna sit up here and tell you me and Kelvin we don't as much as we used to, but every now and then he gets on my nerves.
as BPG say, you're not supposed to tell me to do that. I'm not doing that.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. I'm tired. I'm sleepy. You know what? I'm telling you, I'm at the 27 years in. I'm 27 years in this thing.
Oh, I'm 27 years in.
Yeah, but it's work, right? I mean, I know you say it's
if
work.
you read my book, you already know what's up, but it is not been. Marriage is not easy. So you want the man to pursue you, and I encourage you, if a man is pursuing you and he's exhibiting all of these things that Boaz is doing, you still need to have some conversations.
Yes.
Yeah.
You do. You need to have some conversations.
Absolutely.
You really do. Because you need to make sure you understand what his expectations are of you. And he needs to understand what your expectations are of him. Because the worst thing you can do is get into a marriage and there is a misunderstanding about what is expected.
That's why premarital counseling is a yes.
Yes.
I'm going to give you another example.
Oh, they should, rather.
Y'all did put a pin in that right quick, Minister C. And she said, I don't know where she get Minister LaSandra from. Right? Y'all catch that? I hope y'all listen, everybody. But y'all didn't know. Y'all thought this was going to be a regular tea session.
And she going verse by verse.
Did you hear me? A regular tea session, as we call it. The BPG tea house. The holiest tea house.
She's giving us our premarital counseling for some of us.
Go ahead then, Minister LaSandra.
Okay. I'm going to tell you all a story because I said, you need to know what's expected. Now, our premarital conversations entailed us agreeing to one kid, having one more child. Now, I figured when we got married, I don't want no more kids. So I was like, you know what, Kelvin, I don't think I want to have no more kids. You had 3, I had 1, that's 4. That's enough. I got my shape the way I want it. I don't think I want to mess my shape up having a kid. And the discussion, this was the response. Before we got married, you agreed to have 1 more baby, so you're going to have at least 1 more. Because that's what we agreed upon. I said, okay. So Pooh Bear is getting ready to be 23 next month. Okay?
Wow.
Because that was the expectation. So here's my point. If you know this man is expecting some things of you that you can't do, you unwilling to do, you don't want to do, don't get married.
That's right.
Stop it right there. Don't waste that man's time, and certainly don't waste your time. You do both of you an injustice. You know that man want kids and you don't want kids.
Ooh, that's huge.
Or you want kids and he don't want kids. Don't marry that man thinking that you can change his mind. Got another story.
And then can I say this for those of us, and I know that Pastor Bridget, what you're married, Minister LaSandra, but Pastor Bridget, and then BPG, and Liz as well. But we have grown children. I now have grandchildren. So see, that's a whole different ball game right there. When the man comes into dating you, now he's accepted you. And not only does he have to accept love and this and that, yo, cheering, as BPG said, baby, I have grandchildren. I have grandchildren. So that's a whole different, I come with other baggage. My baggage got baggage. If you understand what I'm saying. So if you're pursuing, and he has to, like you said, that's when the conversation has to be. And then some of us, our conversations have to be to where we don't want to put too much on the table right away, but you have to go ahead and get to the nit grit, and put it out there, some of it, because yes, I need to know you pursuing me. That's good. You love the Lord, but don't know this, ladies. Don't get that tangled and twisted. Just because he loves the Lord, don't get it tangled and twisted. That means, he's gonna go for any, every, and all. Don't get that. That maybe he still may not want to marry a woman with children and love the Lord with all his heart, soul, and mind. He still may not want a woman with children, and vice versa. So that already comes with children, because we have a young elder at the church. He pretty much he wants children, but he wants to have a wife that he and her have children with. You know what I'm saying? So you can't get toe up about that, because that's his preference. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
Well, and I'll tell you, you hit on something there, because like you have adult children, and like you said, that's different, because adults, and the bottom line, grandchildren are grandchildren. You're the grandmother, not the mother, so they can always be with their mother and their father. But when you have small children and you marry, see, there's some people have this mindset, well, that's my son, that's my daughter, or you're not gonna see. You don't want that man to be a man and to be in that role, to be that father. You need to leave him alone too, because how you gonna have a home? And I did marital counseling with a couple, and the woman, she got upset with me because I agree. Now she's having all this trouble, right, with her boys, but then now here's a man in place, and men gonna bring something different, because and there are times where, I mean, I'm not talking beating or abuse, we none of that stuff.
Right.
But this man, those, especially these teenage boys, get to where if you have a man that's there and they can get with him, let them get with him, because they can do something that we can't do.
Absolutely.
Women are not even about that. They don't want, well, that's my child. Okay, well, you know what? You're not ready to be. You're not ready for that.
You're not ready to be married.
You can't have all this separation going on, because if this is not someone,
an adult.
Yeah, and if this is not, and that's the other thing, if you don't see this man, if you have children and you don't see him as someone that's fathering your children, what you doing?
Right.
You're moving. There's so many things that we have to consider, as far as just saying, I want a husband. Well, why do you want a husband?
Absolutely.
What's really your end goal? And I'll tell you, look here. And the bottom line, when it comes to godly men.
Mm-hmm.
The word is a command given to the man, right? Love your wife.
Yes.
As Christ loved
The
the
church.
church.
Period.
Yep.
You have a man that love you like that. Submission that's not even.
It's easy. It's easy.
First of all, that man is not going to be asking you to do anything crazy. He's loving you. He's willing to say, he wants you to be happy. That's, he's dying for you. And of course there's mutual things, but we can't compare. You can't be saying, well, I'm not gonna submit this and this. Okay, but if a man is loving you like that, there's not going to be an issue. You may have disagreements about different things, and that's the place, like say if you want to decide on what school your child is going to go to, and they're both are good, and you just, okay, instead of all this argument, and you have some men that'll just say, okay, baby, we're going to do what you want to do. But it's nothing wrong with the wife saying, oh, you know what, I'm going to take your lead on it. I'm going to let you go ahead and lead on that. We ain't talking crazy stuff when it comes to submitting. People get stuff all, when it comes to money and things like that. And then the other side, when you're married, and that is protection, to let that man be the head. Some of us know that. That decision he making is crazy, but his mind is set like flint. You sit back and be like, okay, Lord, I'm gonna let you deal with that.
Yep.
If it's the wrong decision, God gonna let him know it, and he gonna make him real crazy. Looking at you. So there are those times where you just have to trust God with that. So it's like, that's not a reason, to say, well, I'm not going to be married because I'm not going to be submitting. Well, right there, you're not even ready, because it's not even the right mindset. And again, check ourselves. What's your motive? Why do you want to be married? Because I'm just going to say, it's witchcraft, and that Jezebel spirit. You want to get a husband, and control him.
Right. Yeah.
So, okay.
And a lot of times when these women have issues with being submissive, they got issues being submissive, period. Submissive to God.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, because it starts with God. You got to first submit to him and surrender your will to him. And most often, when you find somebody who is unwilling to submit, there's some issues there with that person in their relationship with Christ.
That's right. Absolutely.
Because it's easy to submit to a man, first of all, and I tell women this all the time, but I don't hold no punches. If you married to somebody you can't submit to, the first thing I'm gonna ask you is, why did you marry him? You chose this man, which means you said that, baby, I'm gonna follow your lead.
Yes, indeed.
Because if you do anything differently from that, you are going against God's order of marriage. You are going against the order, the divine order. So if you find yourself in a marriage or in a relationship where you can't see yourself submitting to your husband, or you can't see yourself married to this man and submitting to him, I would suggest that you have a conversation and tell him, it's not you, it's me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, okay, ladies, as we go ahead. I'm gonna let you finish, and then I want to, as we draw to a close, I want to talk to each one of you guys, or ask each one of you to leave a nugget or two to our listeners about how, when it comes to how to allow a man to pursue you. Okay, go ahead. And
I was gonna say, because in a marriage, both of you can't drive. Even in a car, if you look at your car, it's one steering wheel, one gas pedal, one brake pedal. Both of y'all can't sit in the driver's seat. Somebody got to be the passenger. Somebody got to be the co-pilot.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. And not the backseat driver. Y'all heard she say co-pilot. That means y'all work together. And when I say backseat driver, you want the man to pursue you, but you trying to tell him how to do what God told him to do. I mean, I'm just, that kind of confuses me as well. So, all righty, as we begin to wrap this up, you guys, we thank y'all for tuning in, joining us. But before we stop, BPG, leave us a nugget or two on this hot topic. And then we're going to pass the mic to Minister LaSandra, and then we're going to pass it to Pastor Bridget. And if my beautiful sister, Mother Den, has anything to add before we close, we will close it out after that. So go ahead, BPG.
I would just say, encourage our sisters to pray about the direction they want to go, pray about the steps they want to take, and pray about the men, because we have our own little personal desires. But ask the Lord, what do you want me to have? What do I need? Because me wanting something may not be something that I need. So that little nugget, I would like to tell the sisters, allow God to choose, because I've chosen, and it ain't, it ain't been what it needed to be. I got blessings out of it. Hello, praise the Lord. But moving forward, I wish I would have then had the mindset and the maturity that I have now to know that I need to pray about it first, and not just go on the first thing smoking, not just go on what my flesh is desiring.
Absolutely.
And make sure prior to you getting into this man sent from God relationship, that you are completely healed
now
and ready to move forward.
That part.
And that's it.
Unmarried women, that part. We still coming out of that thing, and we still a little tender, and we trying to date. You shouldn't be. Well, go ahead. Pass the mic on, Minister LaSandra.
So the thing that I would say, I always like to end with a story. So when Kelvin asked me to marry him, first of all, he was taking a job in another state, and he asked me to go with him. And I told him, I can't go as LaSandra Wills. What I can do is go as LaSandra Collins, because I'm not going to be the girlfriend that's following her boyfriend. We just not going to do that. So Kelvin asked me to marry him. And so he decided not to take the job. He said, well, I'm not going to take the job, but I still want to marry you. I immediately started going into prayer. Lord, if this is not the man for me.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah.
Show me so that I won't go against your will.
That's it. That's
because
it right there.
Listen, man is born of a few days, and in those days shall be hell and frustration. I will not.
You hear me?
I'm not inviting that type of drama into my life when I know I'm already going to have trials and tribulations. I'm not going to do it. I'm sorry, it's just me. So I would say, seek the Lord. What is it? Father, who is the man that you created for me? Who is that man? Show that man to me, because that's the man that I want. And it may mean that the one that you thinking you getting ready to marry, you are not, just like me. He went out and got the girl pregnant, Read the book, it's all in there. So I would say, make sure when you think your mate has found you, you see God to see if that's the one that he intends for you to be connected to. And as for the pursuit, exhibit the qualities and the characteristics that a man would want in a wife, and he will pursue you, the right one.
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. And passing the mic on while it's hot. Come on.
Right. Yes. Well, it's not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Learn to wait.
That's it.
There again. We were talking. Mother then she was talking about the clock. This invisible clock that the world has come up with. Time belongs to God. Time. He is time. So be and wait and listen. We have God-given intuition. Don't ignore it. We ignore that. And sometimes, like you, and I love that, Minister LaSandra, you may be right up to the days before the marriage, and that thing is still there. Better to stop it then than a world of hurt.
You hear me? You hear me well?
So take your time, just be patient and wait and listen. Listen to that voice, not like, and even PG was saying, that our flesh, all it says is be patient, hurry. What is the rush? What's the rush?
Well, okay. Mother Dean.
I have nothing to add. These wonderful ladies have said it all. I am grateful for you ladies to share your wisdom. You guys checked off some things that was already being spoken to me consistently. And we got to do this again. We definitely have to do this again, because this is a topic that's not just for us as women, but we got to do this for our fellas, because our men also need to know that they need to know that they're the prize as well too.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I would say to the unmarried to the unmarried, don't be afraid to fly solo. Don't be afraid to fly solo, because get to know yourself. I shared, so many of you guys, myself included, learn to let the Lord date you. Learn to let him date you. Learn to let him date you. Because some of us may not have had an example on what to expect from a man. Like one of the panelists said, we got a good Boaz, but we used to Tupac. So Boaz ain't matching up because we used to Tupac. Hey, we used to picking up, spinning and things. And, and I'm not saying that Tupac may not have been a gentleman. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying he was extra rough around the edges. So when someone comes and they kind of gentle with you, you think he weak. No, he's trying to love on you like you're supposed to be loved. And like I share with my sister Mother Den, women, anything outside of certain of those things, that is perversion. I don't care what you tell yourself. You say, I'm a player, I'm a pimp too. I'm not stepping on nobody's toes, because I've said it. I've heard women say it. It is what it is. God created women to be, we can be tough, but we're not to be hard. We're to be tough, not hard. It's a big difference. It's a big difference. They're not the same thing. They may appear to be, but they're not. But anyway, I want to thank all these beautiful ladies, the BPG. When y'all hear say BPG Ministries, that is the face. That is the face right there. That is the face. Then we have Minister LaSandra Collins. She just might as well go ahead and walk into it, because there again, she says she has been ordained. But guess what? What a little bird told me, and his name is HG, that many times when we are ordained or called, it ain't always by man. I mean, it ain't always by man. God said who you are, and that's who it is. And hey, argue with him, because hey, don't shoot the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger. And then Pastor Bridget, thank you as always, my sister at Spirit of Life Ministries. Yes, hey, where it's raw and it's real. That's why we can be free and flow like this, because what we do on here, this is what we get every Sunday, every Wednesday. And it's raw and uncut, straight, no chaser, no ice, none of that, real hot. I'm just saying. And then my sister Liz, my PIC, we ain't gonna say partner in crime, because that was back in the day, but partner in Christ. So I just thank all of y'all for allowing me to do what God wants me to do, and y'all coming in. And ladies, this is showing y'all that sisters can agree. So stop believing the lie of the enemy that we can't get together, we can't talk, and we can't be on one accord, because that's a lie of the enemy right there. But at any rate, I want to thank you guys as always for allowing us into your homes every Saturday, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time is where you can find us, myself, Lady Rachel, Mother Den, Singles with a Testimony, on the BPGinspirationalstation.com. As we say, the rawest, realest, loving y'all for freest internet radio station in the land. And we serve up tea, piping hot, but it is good for the soul. So we hope that you guys were blessed, that something was said here that pricked your heart, changed your mind. Even if it made you mad, that's good too, because that means it's something that's on your mind. So again, love you guys for free, and enjoy the rest of your Saturday afternoon.
Peace.
Peace out. One love.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's good. I tell you.
Yes, indeed.
I'm loving me some LaSandra. Yes, ma'am.
I think we all are.